So first up in my reviews this week we have a Bedlam, issue number 1, and the story starts off 10 years ago and introduces us to the character of Madder Red. He's a homicidal maniac who has his own gang, and the story starts off with this school field trip, and he has got to the opera where the school are having the field trip. He's killed all the performers, the orchestra, all the teachers, and there's only one child left alive. And he's playing cards with this child while his gang keep the police out from the theatre. Then this hero crashes through the window to come and save the girl and to catch Madder Red. Madder Red promptly slits the girl's throat, and the hero takes him down, and Madder Red is arrested. The rest of the issue is spent jumping between the past and the present, as we get to see the aftermath of what Madder Red did to this town called Bedlam. And you get to see the consequences of his actions and all sort of what happens to him in the past. And then we get to see him in the current day, and he seems to be living in an apartment, and he's just about to get a start on some kind of mission, on some kind of change in his life. But we still don't have all the answers yet. I really enjoyed this book. It is really great. I could have gone into deeper depth on the story, but I don't want to spoil it. If you've not read this book, I don't want to spoil it. Image once again excel themselves as for value for money. This is like 52 pages and it was only $3.50. So that once again, Marvel, the only difference between a $3.99 and a $2.99 book is that you get a free digital download with the $3.99 books. DC at least do give extra pages if their books are $3.99. But Image, regularly, first issues, they double up the issue and they don't charge you any extra. And in this case, it really pays off. Fantastic, really engrossing story. Usually when books that I like, the main protagonist I have some kind of empathy with. In this story, I have no empathy at all with the main character, but he's such a fascinating character because like the modern day scenes, you still see that he's not totally sane. He's still insane. He's just aiming it at criminals now. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this book goes. I thought the art was good. It's got kind of like a rough style, but like they jump, like the scenes from the past, the flashbacks, they are done in like just red with shading. That's all that they're done, where the modern day scenes are coloured, and I liked that. That really helped to differentiate just from like looking, yeah, that's a scene from the past, that's the present. And I thought that was a really nice touch, and the art really worked for this book as well. I think Nick Spencer must be pretty troubled because he's created a fascinating but utterly insane character here. And you can see that opening scene with the hero and with Madder Red very much reminds you of Batman and the Joker, and it'll be interesting if we see that hero pop up again anytime in the future of this book. But yeah, definitely one worth checking out. The art, as you can see here, this is the flashback scenes where as you can see, the only colour he had seen is red. Let me see if I can, and then you've got like the modern day scenes which are more coloured, though red is still a heavy colour in there. But a really good book, and definitely one that I recommend, and definitely worth checking out. I think they're going to do a second printing of this when issue 2 comes out, so it'd be well worth, if you can pick up both, it'd be well worth it, because I'm telling you, I think this is going to be a good series, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, and I definitely give it a thumbs up. Next up is Aquaman, issue 13, which is the conclusion of the other storyline, which I think has been running since about issue 7 or 8. I feel it was issue 7 that started running. Last issue we saw Manta killed another member of the others, Vostok, and got away with the artifacts. This issue, Aquaman, wants, bring to take down Black Manta. We find out that Black Manta, all along we've presumed that Black Manta's been doing this to mess with Aquaman and get his revenge. But now we find out in this issue that somebody's hired him to get these artifacts, and this is what this has all been about. It's not been about Black Manta's revenge, it's been about that he's got a job that he's been paid to do. Aquaman, you know, has a really good conversation with Mira that sort of brings his character full circle in this issue, and he comes out a stronger person and a much better hero. And you know, along with the remaining members of the others, they go and to take down Black Manta and to discover who is behind this whole thing. I really like this. I like the journey that Arthur's character's been on, and how at the end of the story he's sort of like a better person, a better hero. There isn't as much anger in him now and shame, and he's sharing a bit more with Mira. I liked that the whole thing with Black Manta, there was a bigger story going on, and that it's sort of going to lead into the next story, the Throne of Atlantis. I was slightly disappointed with the fight between Black Manta and Aquaman. After the big fights they've had over recent issues, it felt it ended a bit quick. But like the thing, maybe, you know, you look at the story, and the whole story was that before Aquaman had gone after Black Manta alone, this time he let the others help. He became a team member, a team player rather. So yeah, I like this. The art, as always, by Ivan Reis is just fantastic. It's you know, one of the great things about this book, and I'm going to see him sad. I'm going to see him sad when he moves on to do Justice League of America in January, because I just love his art in this book. So yeah, but another really good issue, really good conclusion. Like I say, yeah, you know, I could slightly disappointed with the fight, Black Manta finishing so quickly, but it was a really good conclusion to story. And Aquaman, it's been a really great book, and I definitely give it a thumbs up. Well worth checking out. A nice way to end this story. So yeah, next up we have Avengers vs X-Men Consequences, issue number 4. Boy, this book gets better and better with each issue. I think I'm enjoying this more than I enjoyed the whole AVX. I liked AVX, don't get me wrong. It did feel like 12 issues was slightly long, and the story seemed a bit too dragged out. I think it could have been dealt with in 6 or 8 issues. But this one, you know, this has been brilliant. You know, each issue the characters move on, and it's been brilliant. This issue we see a lot of everybody in this issue. Iron Man goes to see Cyclops in prison, to get Cyclops to help in trying to figure out the Phoenix. Said he knew that the Phoenix could give the rebirth of the mutants, so Cyclops agrees to go along with him. Hope looking for Cable, she goes to Atlantis to see Namor. We see what's happened to Colossus, and we get the reveal of why Magic told Storm where he was. We also get to see, you know, what happens in prison with Cyclops and that other guy that he's sharing the cell with, and where it leads to in the end is brilliant. I absolutely adored this issue. It was great fun, and you know, it's a shame, you know, this couldn't have been the main summer story, because it is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to the last issue of this last week, and I'm slightly disappointed that it's only 5 issues. You know, where you know, when Avengers vs X-Men, I felt by the end I was like, yeah, I liked the story, but this could have been done a lot quicker. But not this. This has been brilliant. Kieran Gillen deserves a lot of credit. He's done a really great book here. You know, you got a bit of the art there, with Namor. You know, then you got this whole scene in prison. Let's look, see if we can get you another good page. And then you got Storm and Colossus. So yeah, a really good issue. You should still be able to pick these up. It's well worth picking up if you want to sort of see what has happened in the aftermath, and to see all that character development that maybe we didn't get to see in the main series. This is a really good book. Really recommend it, and give it a definite thumbs up. So next up we have Masters of the Universe, The Origin of Skeletor, one shot. And this was one of the books I was really looking forward to and intrigued by this week, because in the regular series they're doing a Master of the Universe, they've mentioned a couple of times that Skeletor is He-Man's uncle, and I never knew that. I can't remember that from the TV show. So I was really looking forward to this and to find out a bit more, and it does give us that. There are certain things I felt it skipped over and we didn't get the answer to, but the main bulk of the story was good. Basically, Skeletor is like a half-breed. His father, the king, had an affair. Then later on, his father had a second child, Raynor, King Randor, who became King Randor, and Skeletor's all put out because he's been, every time he does something good, his father always gives the credit to Randor, not to Skeletor. And Skeletor becomes all bitter, and he really, like, the interest in the relationship between him and his brother and his father really adds a lot of depth to the Skeletor character. And then Skeletor sort of betrays them by going with Hordak, becoming Hordak's apprentice, which I like that, because I do remember that from the cartoon, because that's all why Hordak ended up on that other planet with She-Ra, was because Skeletor had betrayed him. So yeah, I really like this issue. The art was just absolutely fabulous. Fraser Irving did the art, and it was gorgeous all the way through. It was nicely coloured as well. And the big reveal at the end, when he takes the head off and reveals, you know, the skull, is just superb. A really great book. They don't explain why his head goes like a skeleton. They don't really explain why that happened, which I thought that they should have. But the rest of the story is great. It really sets up Skeletor really well, and they're going to do another one of these one-shots for He-Man, the Origin of He-Man, in January, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that now. And the art, like I say, if you're a fan of Masters of the Universe, it's well worth picking up. Or you want that bit of nostalgia, it's well worth picking up. Or if you just love great art, it's also well worth picking up, because Fraser Irving does such a fantastic job on this book. So yeah, I give Masters of the Universe, the Origin of Skeletor, thumbs up. Well, here we go. X-Men Legacies next to be reviewed. Issue 275, the final issue of this run. Sad to see it come to an end. I've really loved how Christos Gage has written Rogue, and the art as well by David Baldion I've really enjoyed. I think it is David, is it? Yeah, David Baldion. Anyway, this story, there's been a big riot at the supervillain prison, and the Avengers are away, the X-Men are away, so it's just up to Rogue and Mimic to go there and try and help out. And Mimic on the journey there, sort of saying to Rogue he's thinking of leaving the X-Men because he finds, because of his powers, when he's around strong personalities, he takes on their characteristics, and he wants to find himself and to sort of get a handle on who he is, and he don't feel he can do that at the school. And so and then they get to the prison, and Rogue and him have to sort of team up and have to take on other people's powers to try and defeat all the villains. And it's a really nice issue, as it sort of, through like Mimic's dilemma, we sort of, Rogue's reached the end of her journey, that she's discovered who she is as a person, and that journey that a while back where she said I need to, you know, find out, that she's come to the end of the road now, and she's ready for the next phase of her life, because she knows who she is now, and has found some closure on her life, and and she's in a real good place. I'm sad that this is the end. I really, like I say, I really loved how Gage writes Rogue, but you know, all good things come to an end. But it went out nice, a nice little story. Didn't blow your socks off, but it was a nice conclusion to Rogue's story. I liked how they gave her story some kind of closure. As always, I really like the art here by David Baldion. I thought, as always, was great. In 2 weeks it comes out as, there you see, X-Men Legacy issue 1 in 2 weeks, and they're going to have Legion in it now. I'm not really feeling that, no, not at all. Legion's not a character that I'm that interested in, so I won't be picking this up. But this is a different creative team anyway, so. But I'm really hoping that the two on this book, they get something, because they deserve to get something, because they've done good work on this book and kept it consistently good, and I've enjoyed it. And sad to see it go, but the last issue, I give it a thumbs up. X-Men Legacy. So next up we have the Batgirl annual. The first of our annuals this week, and the story, you know, starts off. Somebody's getting homeless people to burn all these abandoned buildings down in this certain part of town in Gotham. So Batgirl is on the case trying to suss out who's doing this. Meanwhile, Catwoman has been paid to break out the Talon, Mary, who we find out at the end of the issue her name's Mary. Mary out of prison. She's the Talon that encountered Batgirl back in issue 9. So she's breaking Mary out of prison and takes it to the court of, it's the guy who used to be in the Court of Owls, and he's trying to put back like a sort of smaller version and try and rebuild. And Batgirl turns up because her investigation into who's paying these homeless people to burn these buildings down take her to the same person that Catwoman's been hired by, and it leads to, you know, to the big conclusion, and you know, a dilemma for Batgirl and Catwoman. I really enjoyed this story. The art in this issue was gorgeous, really lovely art. I was a bit disappointed there's two artists, and you start off with this really gorgeous art, and you can, it's quite jarring when it changes. I love the art at the beginning of this issue, but in the you've got this really lovely gorgeous art, and then like around issue, I think around page, you know, from 28 to 38 they change artists, and I didn't like that at all. I felt that hurt the comic. I love how Gail Simone writes Batgirl, but it seemed strange in this issue that it's her annual, but it seemed more of a Catwoman story. The most interesting part of the issue was Catwoman and her budding friendship with Mary and the decision she makes at the end. I thought it made Catwoman a really interesting character, and she had the far better part of the story than Batgirl. And maybe, you know, they should give Gail Simone to write Catwoman as well, because I've not read that book since the New 52 started, but I've heard a lot of people say how rubbish it is, and maybe that's what they need. They need a woman writing that character. But all in all, I enjoyed this. It was a nice self-contained story. That I say self-contained though, but it says at the end that this story will continue into Birds of Prey, because I think Talon is going to join the Birds of Prey. Maybe the Talon is going to join that group. So, you know, it's a Batgirl annual that's mostly about Catwoman, and that builds up a story in Birds of Prey. Yeah, but it was good. It was an enjoyable story. Not Gail Simone's best, but it was still an enjoyable yarn, and I'd give it a thumbs up. And like I say, the art was really good. It was really good too. Really gorgeous looking issue. So yeah, definitely one to check out. So next up, the final issue of Darth Maul, Death Sentence, and it goes out with a bang. The first issue we sort of set up the story, and it looked like Darth Maul, the second issue sort of looked like he was going to become this kind of anti-hero. The third issue we saw now he's not going to become a hero. He's pretty much just as ruthless and horrible as he always has been, but he's just using these people to attain his objective. In this issue we see his plan come to full fruition, as he goes to rescue his brother, while at the same time catching up with J-Boag, who has put the bounty on his head. But the Jedi have also arrived on the planet, particularly Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it's all, loads is going on. Like the people that are indigenous to this planet, because the three suns are going to sort of shine on this planet, and it happens like once a year, and everything gets burnt, and so they need to get it back inside. But Darth Maul, as sort of by the prophecy of these people from this planet, they think he's the demon in the light. We get to find out he's not, and we find out the true person of the prophecy in this issue, which I thought was really nice touch. I really enjoyed this story. It was just handled really well. All 3 issues were written well. If you hadn't read any, they got this brilliant opening page that really tells you everything you need to know about the story. The artwork, once again, was really good, and I just really enjoyed this issue, and I liked how they rounded out the story. And you know, I think they've hit on a good formula here to how to do Star Wars series. You know, do a mini series, base a character you know at the centre of it, and around them create new characters, and then you know you don't know what's going to happen in the story because all the other characters could die. So I like that format. It's going to be interesting with Lucasfilm now being sold to Disney. How long Dark Horse have their agreement to do Star Wars comics, I don't know, but you've got to think when that agreement comes to an end, Disney would want to take it in-house and give the Star Wars comics back to Marvel. That time would tell, but it'd be a shame because Dark Horse, you know, they do the Star Wars stories well, and this is another good one they've done this year, and I'd give this final issue a good thumbs up. So we're now on to the Swamp Thing annual, and this issue it sort of tells a tale from Swamp Thing's past, from before he was Swamp Thing, when he was just a botanist studying at uni, and he was Alec Holland before he knew anything about the Green or Swamp Thing, and he gets contracted to go to this place where there's been some kind of radioactive thing that's gone on, and all the plants have been killed. And so he goes there to sort of see what he can do, and he's like, well, I'm just a student, I don't know, but I'll have a look. So the guy who's paid for him to go there is Anton Arcane, which at this point he doesn't know, but Anton Arcane is one of the top guys in the Rot, and he's lured Alex there to basically kill him, so that the Green's next warrior will be killed before he can get any power. Alec, though, he sees this old plant, and he picks it, this flower, and it shouldn't be there because everything is dead. So he picks this flower. He meets Abigail, Arcane, the first time he's met Abigail. He has these seeds that he's brought with him that he throws in the water to sort of encourage more plants to grow, you know, and he's got more of these that he's going to plant. He has a kiss with Abigail, and then he, you know, and I don't really want to spoil it all, but Anton then he's going to kill him, basically. And so when he goes back to his room and he sees Anton again, Anton is going to kill him, and we get the reveal of what the plant is, and you know why Swamp Thing or Alec can't remember this happening. It was a nice story. It was nice, I must admit. I say nice. I think this wasn't great. Like I say, it was nice. Nice little bit of story, but if you're short of cash, you can miss this. It ain't nothing here that's crucial to issue 14 of Swamp Thing or issue 30. You won't miss a beat. Some of the other annuals, you missed the annual, you're missing a big chunk of story. Not with this. This is just like a thrown out there story. Wasn't the greatest. There were bits of it that I really liked. Like you could see like the real horror. It kind of like a horror story where you go to the strange castle and there's this strange town. So it had all that elements of like a horror, but nothing that really pushed our story. We didn't really see Swamp Thing, well, not our Swamp Thing anyway. So yeah, I think it was okay. It was inoffensive, I think is the best way to describe it. The art by Bessie Cloonan I did like, because it wasn't a regular Swamp Thing's tale. You didn't have to do that regular art style that is so unique to Swamp Thing. The way they have the panels sort of interconnecting. But I felt, so it was okay to have a different art style for this issue, and I felt it worked okay. I think that was one of the things I liked about it, that it did make it feel different. But I don't know, should it have been feeling different? But I did like that, because it was a story set before he was Swamp Thing, so it's a different kind of art style, and that worked. So yeah, I think Swamp Thing, I think I'm going to give that thumbs in the middle. It didn't wow me, but it was inoffensive. There wasn't anything bad about it, but it didn't. It's an easy chapter to miss. You know, if you're short of cash, you know, you could miss this and you wouldn't miss nothing of the story. So Swamp Thing. So, next up we have issue 13 of Batman the Dark Knight. I believe this came out last week, but I didn't get it then, but I picked it up this week. I got the variant cover, so it's got like the artwork from the original cover, but it's over 2 pages and just inked, not coloured, which was nice. I do really like David Finch, his art, so I was chuffed I managed to pick this one up. The story continues the story that Greg Hurwitz has been telling since he took over this book. The story arc with the Scarecrow, and he's developing this new toxin, this new fear toxin, because when we are scared we give off a certain smell, a certain scent, and this is most potent in children. So he's kidnapping children and scaring them so that he can take their tears and use the tears to produce this, to get this scent, so that he can put it into a new toxin that will induce fear, a really new potent toxin. And he's going to use Batman as a guinea pig, and he sprays him with this toxin, and Batman just hallucinates about the life he could have had, and you know, his fears sort of come real, and it's his real fear. But at the same time, we've also got this nice little scene at the beginning of the book with Scarecrow and the little girl he's kidnapped, and it sort of shows us a bit more depth. She's beginning to get to him is that he's like making him sad, you know, and he's trying to be all scary and bad, but it really adds a bit of depth to the Scarecrow and makes him a really fascinating character, that he's not all bad, he's not all evil, you know. Yeah, he's a bit deranged, but what we've learned, what his father's done to him in the past, it's not surprising he's a bit deranged, but that there is still a good person inside, and that makes him more interesting as a character, I think. And we do get to see a little bit more about his childhood here, and about his relationship with his father, and ultimately, you know, how that ended all up. As always, the art by there's that nice little scene at the beginning. The art by David Finch, I just love his art. As always, he does a really good job. How is Batman? You know, the question all along is Batman sort of hallucinating, as you can see here, about the life he could have had. How, you know, it didn't have to be the way that it's sort of gone, and as he brought it all on himself. There's also a really nice. So yes, and so I like, you know, the end sort of. It looks like the next issue is going to be the end of this story arc, but it's been a good arc. I've really enjoyed it. Scarecrow is just a really scary villain, but they've added new layers of depth to him, and I think Hurwitz and Finch are doing a good job on this book now, and I'm making a good team, and I'm looking forward to see the rest of their run on this book. I'm definitely on board, and I give this book a thumbs up, well worth checking out. Well, my pick of the week this week is Justice League Dark, the annual #1, and it continues where Justice League 13 left off last week, and concludes that storyline, the Books of Magic storyline that we've been running. Things were looking bad for our heroes last issue. Nick Necro had got Zatanna with the House of Secrets. He was off to get the Books of Magic, while John Constantine, Black Orchid and Deadman had pursued him, and the House of Mystery had crashed, seemingly looking to be destroyed. Well, they're okay. This issue, they're okay, but they've got to stop Nick Necro getting the Books of Magic. So they bolster the ranks of the Justice League Dark, and they go and they fight the minions of Nick Necro, and then they're up against Dr. Mist and Phoenix Faust, and you know, it's all like, how are they going to stop him, and there's like twists and there's turns, and it's just fantastic. Really strong issue, and I just thoroughly enjoyed this, you know. DC as well, you know, do a good job. This was dearer, it's $4.99, but it's a really thick book, and you know, they really went all out. The art by Mikhail Yanin is gorgeous. I absolutely adored his art, and I'm going to be interested. There's so many things I'm curious about now. How many of the team that we see built up in this issue are going to stay together as part of the team? Also, you know, what's up with the end of it? Are we going to have technology versus magic? What's happened? Where's some of our characters disappeared to? And there's so many questions that you left with at the end, but you've satisfied because they've told a great story, and it leaves you wanting more, which is the way I think every comic should end, to leave you wanting more. But this was, I loved it. I really did. Definitely recommend checking this out. As you can see, the art by Yanin is just absolutely gorgeous. And we sort of like get all revealed here how get another good page spread. We get revealed here how Nick Necro got out of hell, and they bring in some other characters, and yeah, it was a good book. I enjoyed this book. A nice little read, and definite thumbs up. My pick of the week for this week. So you know, that was Justice League Dark, Nick Necro. So yeah.